Here with Reaction Now, National Rifle Association Executive Vice President and CEO Wayne LaPierre. Wayne, good to see you again, sir. How are you?
Good evening, Sean. We're in shock and mourning, probably like everyone else out there. It's an unimaginable tragedy. A lot of our members were out there. We have friends that had family there that were wounded, and we've just been praying, and like everybody else in the country, for this unimaginable tragedy. That being said,
Wayne,
the other side is... The other side, on the other hand, has been so outright trying to politicize this tragedy that we did feel the need to speak out today on this whole bump stock issue. For years, have tried to correct the media on semi-automatics when they said they were fully automatic firearms, when Dianne Feinstein and Schumer and all the rest of them said they were machine guns. For years, I set the record straight. And then the Obama administration, a couple years ago, approves this device called a bump stock. If you take a look at it, any look at it, it takes a semi-automatic firearm and it makes it perform like a fully automatic firearm. It makes it function like one. And what the NRA has said is we ought to take a look at that, see if it's in compliance with federal law, and it's worthy of additional regulation. That being said, we didn't say ban, we didn't say confiscate.
Wayne, in a lot of ways, people like Brett Stevens and Michael Moore and Nancy Pelosi, they're just revealing what their true intentions have always been. And that is, they really don't want the average citizen. They don't believe in the Constitution. They don't believe in the right of law-abiding citizens to keep and bear arms. And I just pointed out the great hypocrisy. Most of these people, they have security guards. They have their fortresses at their house. They have people at the self-congratulatory events like the Oscars and Emmys. The average American has one. Usually they have themselves to rely on. Great hypocrisy or no?
Yeah, one thing the American public always knows is the elites always protect themselves, and they always protect themselves with guns. And then they lecture the American public how you shouldn't do that. But in the heart of the American public all over this country, they see these monsters, and they don't want to be alone out there. They want to be able to protect themselves. One of the things that happened in Las Vegas, when they said shelter in place, the first thing that came up when they were sheltered, they said, does somebody have a gun? We saw it with the hurricanes this past week in Texas and Florida and places like that, Louisiana. People are, when the water's rising, when it goes dark, the American public values this freedom to protect themselves. And now you have Dianne Feinstein and Schumer and the media to get this horrible tragedy, and they want to piggyback their whole agenda to ban guns, restrict law-abiding people for the last 20 years, this circus on the back of this tragedy and enact it. And what the NRA is fighting for is reciprocity, enforce the existing federal gun laws, protect the Americans' right to protect themselves.
You know, Wayne, when you crunch the numbers and you look at Chicago and the homicide rate, which we've talked an awful lot. We even actually one night scrolled the names of all the people, and nobody was paying attention. This is Obama's, adopted hometown. It's like one Vegas massacre a month. 3,900 people killed in Chicago while Obama's president. 18,000 shootings in just the last 6 years of his presidency. Where were these liberal voices then? I didn't hear a word out of them.
That's right. These monsters that were doing that in Chicago, they don't care about the law. What you've got to do is you've got to go in and take them off the street and put them in prisons. I mean, if legislation worked, Boston Massacre wouldn't have happened. San Bernardino, where California has every gun law you can imagine on the books, that wouldn't have happened. In Paris, where they have complete gun bans, that wouldn't have happened. Brussels, all over the world where the people are disarmed, these monsters, these bad guys go about their business. They could care less what laws are on the books. And the good people want to protect themselves. They want to defend themselves. That's why we're fighting for reciprocity, and they want to preserve this freedom that they know the elites protect for themselves and yet would take away from the honest people and the average people. And by gosh, the NRA is not going to let that happen.
The NRA gets a bad rap, and I'm a proud member. But it's just a fact how many people a year do you teach gun security and safety to? How many people a year have protected the lives of loved ones because they had the ability to defend themselves with a weapon?
Well, that's exactly right, Sean. I mean, we teach millions of people. We spend millions of dollars every year teaching people safety and responsibility. And this Hollywood crowd makes billions of years every single day teaching gun irresponsibility to the American public. The hypocrisy is beyond belief. They criticize me for saying people ought to be able to protect themselves from murderers, rapists, and robbers, and then they make billions depicting every night those same situations. The hypocrisy coming out of Hollywood is beyond belief. The American public doesn't buy into it, and the American public wants to be able to protect themselves from these elitists that protect themselves with the very firearms they would ban for the average citizen.
And I urge people, if they want to learn safety and security of firearms, the NRA does help a lot of people. Wayne, thank you for being with us. We appreciate it.